so a note about balance, okay? So this is basically your Harbor Freight motorcycle lift. The balance point is right behind the kickstand, this nut. Okay, the first part is you gotta make sure that you position your wheel so that you can access the bolts to remove the front fender here. Alright, so removing the front fender, you gotta position the wheel. And be mindful, you're gonna crush your fingers on this one. Two short ones and one long one, so you want to make note of which ones those came out of. And then carefully lift it out. Next comes the brake calipers, right? 2 rotors, 1 on each side, 2 brake calipers, 1 on each side. 2 12 millimeter bolts here is what it takes to get them off. The reflector might be in the way of your socket on a happy ratchet, so you might need to use a 12 millimeter wrench. Alright, now this comes off simply just pulling it back, right? Brake pads are still with it. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to take a bungee cord and just hang it out of the way. As soon as I get to the other one, I'm going to go ahead and pull the other one off and I'll be right back with you. Alright, now that the brake calipers are off, next thing to do is remove the axle. So you got to take off this tensioning nut, which is either a 6 millimeter Allen key. Do not remove this completely. Just loosen it. The pièce de résistance. Okay. This is a 19 millimeter Allen nut. Alright, which nobody has. Good luck trying to find this at AutoZone or whatever. But a quick pro tip on the forums, which I haven't seen, which I'm fixing to show you, is you take your spark plug socket from your Happy home socket set, remove the gasket. Alright, remove the gasket from the inside. This is the part that sits on top of the spark plug, right on top of the spark plug as you're unscrewing it. And then what you do is you take, see the bottom of the socket here? Can you see this? Is conveniently 19 millimeters. What? Yep, so put your extension through the big part and it locks it in there, and now you can loosen this. Of course, don't forget, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So let me see if I can do this from here. I might have to get a cheater pipe on here or a breaker bar. I believe it's all the way out. There it goes. And there you go. All right, overview of the removal is belt guard, 2 Allen nuts right here. These are 5 millimeter. You have to remove the belt tension. This is your lock nut. All right, unlock that, and then you basically thread the nut back into this block, and then that's going to allow this to come off of the axle. This here is the axle. There's a notch right here that indicates that's in line with one of these marks right here. This right here is dry erase, so with a bit of caution, because that might rub off. It's actually right in line with this. See how that rubs right off? So it's right in line with this tick mark here. that. And then I'm gonna mark the other side too before I even start. 5mm. What's funny is when I announce these mods on the Raider Facebook page, everyone's like, first mod, obviously, paint that or get rid of it or whatever. And off. Okay guys, we're on the driver's right side now. Luckily my exhaust is not long enough where I have to loosen the exhaust. If your pipes keep on going or they hang out a little bit more, you will have to loosen them and get them out of the way. So same thing as on the front. We remove the brake caliper here. There's only one rotor on the rear, so one caliper. Well, the difference being is that this brake pad bracket here holds the brake pads on there. So again, two 12mm bolts, pull the brake caliper out of the way, and then we'll have to remove the pads from the bracket here. As soon as I get these off, I'll get right back to you. Off with the caliper, and then the brake pads slide right off. One thing you could do is to mark which pad on which side. R and L. Again, like I said, I'm not a actual bike mechanic, so I'm gonna get all these nouns wrong, but this is basically the belt tensioner. Counterclockwise on the lock. Take the lock to the end, and now clockwise to bring the entire thing, basically screwing it into the block here. And while I'm here, I am gonna break the nut. This is a 27mm. Now what I've done is I have strapped the bike down on the bike stand to keep it from rocking back and forth. But let's break this nut here. There it goes. All right. Nut removal. Washer. And tension thing. Notice I made my mark there for retensioning. Hopefully you got that. Do not rub it off. As I screw the thing in, the axle's being allowed to go forward, which is letting the belt sprocket move forward. Can't remove the tensioner yet because it's locked in with the axle, but what we can do is push the wheel in and hopefully make enough. Yep. Bring this out. Bring it out some to remove the belt. There you go, belt is off. Now it's literally just about pulling the axle out. I'm taking a Bravo Foxtrot Hotel, rubber type though. See if I can get a good whack on this thing. I wanted to use this lift here, if you can see it. Use this lift to keep the wheel elevated while I'm pulling on the axle. It's not exactly resting on it, so maybe raising it just a smidge to put the tire on there and alleviate the weight from the axle itself. Just so you can get handle on it to pull it out. Now what's going to happen is axle comes out, the tire is resting on the thing so it's not going to fall, but when I pull the tire back, what's going to happen is the brake bracket from the driver's side is going to fall out. So be aware of that brake bracket is being held in place on the right side of the bike by the axle. All right. So out comes the axle. Tire hasn't moved, which was my plan. All right, that's a good thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the lift here, and hopefully this will bring the tire out. Yep. And it looks like my straps are working to keep the bike from pitching forward. That was that bracket. One caliper bracket right here fell out. There it goes. And done. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Grease the shiznit. Oh yeah, yummy. On the other side. How? Is that it? Spacer number 2. And right in there. Good in there. Right there, baby. Oh, dynamite. Okay, so if you didn't see, all right, you gotta make sure, right, direction arrow. Hopefully you can see this. Poor lighting. Direction of travel, all right? Same as when I took it off, okay? So now we go back to our high speed. Right, spark plug socket with our 1/2-inch extension from the inside to tighten this sucker down. That's good for temp right now. All right, I still got to get my torque on. Got to get the torque on here before it's actually safe. All right, and then again, this is just opposite of removal. So after this, calipers, right, and then fender. All right, so we tightened our axle bolt to like 59 or 55, 59 foot-pounds. It's in the book. There's a 2008 Raider PDF floating out there. Go find one to get the exact specs. I'll probably float one in the graphics here right now. But make sure that's done. And we're doing brake calipers. Hey, so this thing threw me for a loop right here. This piece goes up here. It's attached with the front fender. So I thought, I was like, it goes back here. How does this? Oh, it's not lining up. Blah, 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 blah. And not the case. So anyway, brake pads are in there. Slide it on in. Line that sucker up. Bolts with the reflector. Don't forget that. There we go. And done. This looks badass already. Like, I don't even want to put the fender on it. If you like how it looks right now, with the Tell me what you think. Write it down below, man. It's like a shame. I don't want to destroy all this muscle. These new Dunlop Elite 3s are badass. I love the tread. It almost looks like a daggum scrambler type tire with the awesome tread on here. Love it. All right, let me get this fender going. And we got the 3 bolts, don't forget. Let me tighten these down and I'll get right back with you. Before I put the rear tire back on, one of the things us Raider riders complain about is this terrible looking dust cover for the rotor. So I'm going to remove it, but of course I need a spacer to take up the gap. And one of the suggestions that the community recommended to me was using the bolts off of a Yamaha Warrior for the front rotors. Yamaha Warrior, the bolts are supposed to fit. So I'm going to see if that actually works. This is a T40 Torx bit. All right. Once I get all these off, I will get right back to you. This is not the right type of bolt. Okay, this is was supposed to be off of the Warrior front rotor, but apparently I need the Warrior rear rotor, and I don't have time to reorder these. So what I'm gonna do is just take another suggestion, and I got a box little kit from Lowe's of these 8mm washers. Right, there's 12 of them in a box, and they fit perfectly. 2 washers per on the original bolt. Right, and they'll just be there. You can barely see that there's any kind of extension, but 2 washers necessary, so 6 bolts, perfect for the 12 pack. This isn't Loctite brand, it's some other brand, but that's because AutoZone was out. All right, 6mm Allen key, like a glove, a little blue Loctite. What's cool about this, the wheel here, is that there's, I'm not sure you can tell with the light, my bad lighting here, is that all around the wheel there is a lip here that the actual rotor sits on, so you can put it on there at this angle that I'm at, right? And it'll just sit there without falling off. So you don't, it's one less thing you gotta hold. So that's pretty cool. And you can see these are tightening flush, right? And you can barely tell, so it's just gonna leave this awesome rotor exposed. Okay, so there's some prep before I go ahead with the install of the rear tire. I've got the stand here that is pre-positioned. I jacked the bike up higher. I had to untie the straps that were securing. I had secured the bike in case of the forward pitch after I got rid of the tire. And while the tires were at the shop, I swapped out, or I added the Fat Fork kit from Low and Mean. So I didn't want the bike tipping forward with the unsure balance point with the rear tire and forks removed. So now that that is complete, I removed the straps, but I did secure the front tire with a piece of wood so that it's stable, sort of. You do what's best for you as you're trying to do this. Like I said, not a mechanic. This is not industry standard. Don't use this as a reference point. But I'm doing it, and if I can do it, you can do it. All right. So before I throw this in here, remember I need the caliper bracket. The caliper bracket needs to slide in on this groove here. right, ready to line up, which is going to be the weird part about that, which is why I want to use this lift. I'm going to set the tire on here, and using this, raising this up into position, I'll be able to maneuver the slide here, hold it in position while the tire moves up. Also, don't forget to re-lube your spacers, right, and your axle before it all goes in. Good time to clean all the crap off. Make sure you don't inadvertently wipe off your witness mark here. You can see the brown tick mark right there, which was my witness mark for the tensioning. And so I'm doing the same thing that I did on the front axle. Just going to town on this thing. I'm applying my grease. And the same thing with the spacers. Getting greasy with it. And yes, this is jacked up technique, but I just want you to see it. You know, a lot of people, you know, show after the fact, and you're like, well, how did he do that? Or I'm not sure about doing it myself. How did he do that? Or how did she do it? And so I'm making sure that you see it. See how much goes on there that I'm putting on there. Who knows what the recommended amount is, you know what I'm saying? But you know, what does it look like when it's complete by at least somebody, so you have an example. All right, so now these go into the wheel on both sides prior to insertion. So I'm gonna skip that part because it's too many moving pieces with the camera running and everything like that. So I gotta get the wheel right here, and I will be right back with you. Stand by. So this is the Dunlop Elite 3 240 slant 40R 18. I heard that the Avon and other tires, you don't need to trim the upper belt guard, or I should say the lower belt guard here. I did. I cut a little swath out from the inside protectant just to get the tire past here, but I had the jack on the deck, rolled the tire up on it, and now I am slowly raising this into position. And I've had trouble with the brake caliper bracket on the other side, leaving it in place while this is going on. So I might have to, once I get the tire up into position, roll it back some, right? Spacers are in on both sides. And one note, the spacer, the inside diameter is a little bit larger, so one side goes here and one side goes here. It's by fit only, so pay attention to that. If you wonder why, oh, it's not fitting, that's because the larger one needs to go on the other side. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to continue jacking the tire up in place here, and hopefully what I'm hoping is I'll be able to slip that caliper bracket in place once the axle gets up to the axle point, because right now between the tire and the sprocket fitting here within the swing arm, it's having a hard time getting this slid into the other side. So yes. No, other way. Pushing this forward. I was having problems because I brain farted and forgot that the caliper frame, the caliper bracket, needs to hold, or the rotor needs to slide within it. So once I did that, I was able to get the bracket around the rotor and then align the axle holes. And now I'm just kind of, I put the tire on this secondary lift, and between lifting it in place, which I'm about done here, just lifting it in place and making sure everything is aligned, and then rolling the tire forward, lining up the holes here. Okay, so you can, hopefully you can see the axle hole is lined up. Not so on the back. Just got to move the bracket back a smidge, or the tire back a smidge. There we go, right there. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the reverse bore. I'm just gonna drop the belt on top of here real quick since I'm forward. Then I'll drop the axle. Remember, pre-greased, huh? It was all greased up here. Insert axle. Non-marking mallet. Yep. That slid in there. Pull it back a little bit. There we go. Just this a little bit. Like that. Let me just get the axle all the way through. The other side. And up just a little bit. I'm missing. Nice. All right, and we're through on the other side. I'm going to put that other tensioner on the other side. Fits. Washer. Nut. All right. Tire is self-supported now. And it's centered from the back here. That's pretty awesome. All right, so now I'm gonna get to tensioning, right? We have our witness mark there. So again, 12 millimeter wrench, unscrew it, pushing this back, and then locking it in place. Just unscrewing this all the way until the brown mark matches the mark on the side. Right about there. All right, I still gotta torque down the axle nut once the tension's done. And right about there. Pow, maybe a little bit less, right there. so that is tight. 110. We got the brakes, we got the left side. Remember, the ceramic side faces the rotor. Left, right side, ceramic side faces the rotor. Pow and caliper right on there, on both. Right on the snappy threads. All right, and torque to 19 foot-pound. So it's the rear tire, the 240 tire is supposed to put another inch on it, on the diameter. Because it's on the stock wheel 7.5, so instead of actually going wide, it kind of like, it bulges out along along the width of the rim, which means it's a little bit thicker. And you guys saw from the photos that it fills up the rear wheel well, real well. And without getting the slam, you know, without having putting the lowering kit on it. So pretty stoked about that. So let's see if I can get over to the happy place with the abandoned parking lot. The light, crappy lighting with all this. I don't know if it's trying to get stormy again or what, man. Where it all started. Does it feel faster? I wouldn't say that, but there's always just crap everywhere. Crap. Okay. Alright, so there you have it. With the Fat Fork kit and the 240 tire. Like I said, next step. I mean, the bars are barely visible with all the crap I have on it. But yeah, drag bar coming next. Kind of blacked out a little bit with the stuff, and things are gonna shift, and that's no problem. But you know, you're gonna have to look to find problems. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It's almost perfect, actually.
I'm pretty pleased. It was already comfortable, but I want to get rid of that front fairing. The little flip just bugs me. I want just a little thing. Although the thing looks beefy, and you see how what I was talking about, that 240 tire like fills up that wheel well now. It just looks fat up in there. No rubbing issues. Again, that's the stock rim. Stock rim width, and there's no rubbing. You can see no rubbing down there on the bottom belt guard. Belt doesn't rub. I have left the top belt guard off. It's metal, but I'm not seeing the need for it. I kind of like the exposed belt because you get the full wheel effect, because you can like see through it, you know what I'm saying? But I am digging it, and it feels comfy. Yep. Star Raider 113 cubic inches, 1900 cubic centimeters of displacement. And I'm sorry it's not clean. It is dirty as hell. I don't know if I must have used a dirty sponge or something, but it looks nasty. So again, apologies, I didn't get to do a whole lot of beauty stuff, but there you have it. Bottom line is, I love it. I do love it. Okay, guys. Next time, hopefully, we'll be doing the bars. Although I got the bar, but it's with the... So the bar I got is a Flanders bar, 1 inch, that has a 25-degree rake once it gets past the flat part here, 25 degree, and it's coming like this. And honestly, I'm not sure if I like it. I might want the 18, but it'll be flat, so it'll just come straight down, and I'll have more of a forward lean, you know, like that, kind of in between this. Because this has a riser on it, but it'll be like right below it. So almost like no change, except it'll be flat instead of this, and it'll be black. One of the hardest things is finding levers, black levers. They don't make them, and everybody is pretty frustrated. And what they've decided to do is just powder coat the stock levers. And I'm like, lame. I kind of wanted something different shape, you know what I'm saying? But we'll see. Anyways, that's it for Moto Mondays. Hope y'all liked it. I hope you're encouraged to and fearless on your own mods. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but I just know how to follow instructions. It's pretty easy. So don't be discouraged. I did it with home tools, you know what I'm saying? So you can do this too. Okay. Until next time, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked it, if you dig this stuff, hit like, hit subscribe, make comments. Do you like it? Please feel free to gripe about the cleanliness and the water spots. I dig it. Don't hold back. But yeah, I don't know how much crap y'all can talk about it, because it's beautiful. It is beautiful. So anyways, you guys, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it, honestly. From the cockles. And I'm trying to, supposedly you can go a lot deeper with these tires in the turns, but I'm just like, yeah, hold up, wait a minute, you know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm no MotoGP dude, so. But anyway, my serious appreciation for y'all's attention on this. This is kind of a very niche bike. Not a lot of people have it, unless you're on the Facebook group. Oh my God, then there's like tons of people who own these things. But you know, so few bought it that this and all the other star models that Yamaha felt the need to discontinue it. And something about a very small percentage of people, not only globally but especially in the United States, I guess, in the US, a very few percentage of people own motorcycles, and of course a sliver of that own Yamaha cruisers, right? Harley is the king. So they said, hey, why are we beating our heads against the metal press here? You throw on some throttle, baby! This thing just rocks. And now it looks like it rocks. Love it. So yeah, hey, if you're digging it, hit like, leave a comment below how much you dig it, or if you hate it, love it or hate it, leave a comment. And until next time, peace.